Welcome to the Embracing Neurodiversity podcast, where I share my journey of embracing the experience of my amazing son who is on the spectrum. I am Ivory, a mother, educator, and personal growth enthusiast. My goal is to offer insight and stories that may inspire you on your own parenting journey. Thank you for tuning in. Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in per usual. I'm so grateful. It is a quiet, peaceful Sunday morning, and I woke up like not planning to record at all today, but I haven't had a chance to record on my normal weekday that I typically record because my work has been demanding more of my time. And so just in terms of like balance and flow, I woke up with the intention of doing some other things, but I was like, let me do some recording. My son is with his aunt and I have a little bit of downtime. And so I try to get in passion projects when my time allows, which side note has me thinking a lot about organizing my life and my routine a little bit better in like this next quarter. Like sometimes I think of things in quarters in terms of the year because first of all, I worked in a school system for years, and so we're always thinking of things in terms of first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, or 2 semesters. And then especially as we enter into the summer, it feels like a reset, a renew, to step back and replan, reorganize, resystematize. Like those are the things that I've been trained to operate in my work life, and that has spilled over into my personal life. And so I've been thinking a lot about how to organize my life and lifestyle and routine a little bit more better in this next quarter. So I'm looking for like a 3-month calendar, something visual that I can put on my walls to document everything that I want to get done on a reoccurring basis in terms of tasks, and then projects that I want to complete by a certain deadline as well. Like I have these things in my computer, on my calendars, and my emails, but I want something that's more visually accessible to keep me on track, because while I'm okay with the flexibility of getting in recordings and other projects when time allows, I also know that this is something that is incredibly important to me and I want to see grow and flourish, which requires a little bit more intentionality and discipline. And so I'm speaking about that aloud because perhaps you are also, as a parent, feeling this way as well. We get into a groove of things, and then sometimes we lose our way when other life demands require more of us than we anticipated, and then as a result, things start to feel like they're slipping through the cracks. And even that's okay, right? Because this life is to be lived. It's a journey. It's not a check off box. It's not to get it right. But as someone who, in full transparency, deals with anxiety and gets overwhelmed easily by certain things that don't feel in order for me, I like to have a little bit more organization in my day-to-day life, which is interesting because it is the opposite of typically how I operate in my personality. I'm not a type A person. I am much more I don't know what this type is called, but I move off of inspiration and motivation, and also like to go with the flow and be in the moment. But this time in my life requires for me to be more organized so that I am clear and focused for myself and my son. And so I'll keep you all updated with how that will look in the future. But with that, I was doing some reading this morning and meditating, and I was inspired to talk about something that has been coming up for me a lot in terms of my own learning, and talked about this before on the podcast, like this idea of perfection and how damaging it could be and how limiting it could be, and how instead we should be committed to progress over perfection. But if I'm honest, I have had a couple of weeks where I have been operating or attempting to operate in a space of perfection. And the reason why I know the difference is because I have found myself getting easily frustrated with myself, getting anxious about things, speaking negatively to myself. That is the primary indicator of how I know that I'm leaning into perfection. And I'm learning that it's a habit that I have attached to myself, this idea of presenting perfect, that I have to be mindful of, because if I'm not, I will unconsciously operate in that space. And so with that, I've become less excited about my work and the enjoyment of it. And it's because I've been trying to be perfect at it, right? And comparing and all of these things that are incredibly exhausting. So I've been doing some reading to sort of unpack the why behind that, because I'm always trying to get to the core of things, trying to unpack the trauma that is attached to it, right? And I think I mentioned before that I am a fan of, I think you pronounce her last name Weiss, but her name is Brianna Weiss, and she has written a couple of books, essay-based books, and she's a beautiful writer. One of the books I've been reading is called This Is How You Heal, and it's a series of essays, sort of exploratory about her own experience, but also offering up what she's learned, and it is insightful and speaks directly to my own lived experience. And so I wanted to unpack that with you all, if you are okay with that. So one of the essays I was reading this morning was called, and I'll put some screenshots of it in the link, but the essay is called We Crave Perfection Because We Want to Feel Safe. And one of the things I'm super grateful for is that as I'm in this phase of really trying to heal from things and be a present and intentional parent, and then also being present and intentional with myself, I have been trying to listen to a lot of lessons, and life is always teaching you something if you pay attention. So I'm always trying to pay attention to what's around me, and knowing and ruminating on this idea that I've been struggling with perfection and trying to dismantle the need to be perfect. This article came up and I was like, this is perfect for now, obviously. And I mean, this is ideal for now. And so she says the essay is called We Crave Perfection Because We Want to Feel Safe. And she opens it up by saying the truth about perfection is that we only want it so that others may not hurt us for the lack of it. So when I'm thinking about this idea of perfection for myself, I am, oh, you're doing this for other people. You're not doing it for yourself. Because if you were doing it for yourself, then you would understand that you're worthy just as you are. You don't need to do more. You don't need to hit a certain mark. Just as you are right now and present in this moment is enough. But when we lean into perfection, we are beginning to perform for external factors, and specifically the piece around the need to feel safe, because I think that's an important piece to highlight, to give ourselves grace, because obviously there was a time where we learned that we were not safe, and then our brains believe that in order to operate in a particular state, whether it's perfection or something else, that will enhance or ensure our safety, right? Like that is what we decided to be true. And so when I say we, I'm talking about me first, always. And so in knowing that, I'm trying to figure out, how do I unpack, first of all, why do I feel unsafe? I have my own clear reasons why. But second, and excuse me that I'm turning to the right for those who are watching the video podcast, I'm looking at my notes. But there are clear reasons why that ultimately I'm happy to reveal over time. But also, I wonder why I'm also seeking validation from others through perfection, and why I believe that perfection is the way to seek acceptance from others. And while I know logically that is actually counterintuitive, when perfection cannot be sustained, and so when you're doing it for the acceptance of others, then you really aren't seeking a connection from them. You're seeking like instant gratification and not true community, right? Because true community is coming in raw and yourself and vulnerable, as much as comfortable as you can be.